how we roll. Welcome to the chat where the deals get done. Real estate tips and a whole lot of fun. Think different, achieve your goals, and go to Real Estate Chat. That's how we roll.
Hey, I'm Mike Kruse, broker owner of Reside Real Estate Group. Thank you for joining us here on Real Estate Simplified, where myself, along with my partner, Brandon Rizk, our goal here is to make home buying and investing simplified so you can just enjoy the ride.
Without breaking the bank, right?
Exactly.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mike.
Brandon with Allied Mortgage here in Las Vegas. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, thank you, Mike. I'm Brandon Rizk, regional manager at Allied Mortgage out in the Las Vegas area. Been in the mortgage lending in Las Vegas, since about 19 years in Las Vegas, but a total of 23 years in the business.
Awesome.
So, but in Las Vegas, 19.
All right. I've been in real estate going back to 2004. Owner broker of my own company since 2021. Wow. So excited to be doing this. Something new.
Me too. Thank you, Mike.
So let's get into it. Let's talk a little bit about the current real estate market here in the Las Vegas area and what we have going on. Inventory is up as we are entering the spring market full blown here. Currently, there's about 9,000 properties available. So as far as
is that high?
Great question. And it's higher than it's been in several years. Particularly for this time of year is when we hit that high point. And I went back and looked, and
being after the first quarter, times are slow after the holidays, and then now it's the spring market.
Correct. Yeah, December typically is always the lowest point in inventory, and then it ramps up for spring. We're sitting at 9,000. Is that a lot? It's more than we've had in several years, going back to the mid-20 teens, really.
Wow.
But
is that normal, though, is the question? Well, because we haven't been normal for a while.
That's it, exactly. And they consider a normal market to be 3.5 to 4.5 months of inventory available. And we are just barely at the 3.5 month mark. So as far as normal, yes, it's a normal, even market, but on the low side. So it's a good, strong market for buyers and sellers.
And I'm just asking because of my curiosity. I don't deal with this like you do. But, Las Vegas in the last 20 years, if you don't live here now or you just moved here, you're just not using it. I mean, the last 20 years, we've doubled in population, maybe more. I mean, so, is 9,000 homes for the populace of the metropolitan area, is that good? I don't know. I'm wondering, somebody in Oregon might be questioning that. I don't know.
You're absolutely right. And going back to when I first got into real estate back in 2004, and our population was about 1.8 million. 4,000 to 6,000 homes was considered a normal market back then. With the growth of our inventory, and also taking into consideration the amount of sales currently. So last month, over the last 30 days, there have been right about 3,000 sales, just a hair under.
Okay.
So when you factor that in, divide that by the amount of homes available.
Seems like
we're
a lot
right
at
3.5 months.
Oh, that's perfect. Okay.
Right.
Cool.
So
the direction of it itself is coinciding with the spring market, so to say.
Exactly. So what this means for buyers is you have the best choice out there when finding homes, and the most homes to look at than you've had in several years. What does it mean for sellers? Sellers, you have some competition, but also prices are up and you're still able to get top dollar.
Excuse me.
So it's a great time really for buyers and sellers both.
For both.
It's not a strong seller's market, it's not a strong buyer's market. So you're able to get the deal you want on both sides.
Yeah.
So what do you see interest rates doing?
Well, interest rates, as we know, are much higher today than they were over the last maybe 10 years. I mean, the last 2 to 3 years, rates have gone up. We have been accustomed to much lower rates just because of the housing crash, 15, 20 years ago. But I will say the general direction of interest rates now is down. They are coming down. Okay.
Great news for the buyers.
Yeah, I mean, they're still on the higher side according to what the last 10 years have really given us. But at the same time, they're better than they were at the highs. So, and we're starting to see that slowly, and I mean slowly but surely come down, which is a good thing, because if they come down too fast, you're going to see prices spike up too much.
Right.
So it's a supply and demand thing too. When rates go lower, it's going to bring in millions of buyers on a national scale. And with that, the competition gets greater. So. Where do I see rates going? I do see them going down. I see them coming down slowly, and I'm okay with that. I think that's healthy to come down slow, and going back with the spring market and everything, and buying season is here.
Right.
And with rates where they are, and some sellers, averaging how long are they averaging on the market? I mean,
so great question. The average time on the market currently here is right under 60 days. We're at 59 days.
Okay.
So while that might scare some sellers into thinking stuff's not moving, their house is going to sit for 2 months, it really depends on the home. What we're seeing is almost a split when it comes to time on the market. Homes under like 600,000 that are very clean, priced properly, are selling very fast within 1 to 2 weeks, versus homes that are a little bit higher priced, and maybe high priced comparison to their competition. And they're sitting a little bit longer. Also, if the home does not show well, there's no getting over it.
Sure.
And
if the house next door is completely remodeled and the one that you're selling isn't,
exactly,
what are they going to like?
Exactly.
That makes sense.
3 of my last 4 listings have actually sold at or over the list price.
Wow.
And it's simply because the sellers have kept them impeccably clean. And
they show well.
One property I have currently in escrow out in Henderson, there was a model match, exact same floor plan, but not clean, for $40,000 less. That home got multiple offers, but nothing at list price. And our property is in escrow for $40,000 over their list price.
Wow. That makes sense. And the reason I asked you that question is because, with buying season here, there's some sellers, okay, like you just mentioned, there's offers over list price. I mean, it's happening fast, but there's some where it's not showing well and it's sitting.
Right.
But for a buyer and interest rates, rates today are generally in the sixes. Conventional loans, you're probably closer to the higher sixes today, and we're in April of 25 right now. Mm-hmm. In your government loans, your VAs, your FHAs, which we can get into financing a little down the road, but those interest rates can get lower. I mean, they're in the low sixes maybe, depending on the client itself. But the reason I bring that up is because, maybe what I'm seeing is there's a lot of times the seller, instead of lowering the price, they're offering credits towards interest rates.
Right.
It's kind of matching that builder new construction model, right? Where
exactly.
The builder says, hey, pay this much for my house, but I'm going to buy your rate down and I'm going to do all that. Well, I mean, are sellers doing that today? Is this the time to take advantage of that before rates go down? Because that's my opinion, but
right.
I'm not the real estate guru.
Absolutely. And over the last couple of years, you mentioned the builders, they've been offering incredible incentives as far as offering a lower interest rate. And over the last couple months, they've slowly switched to basically the same deal they can get with a resale home, where we ask for the 2-1 buy down, which is where they buy down the rate for 2 years, where we get the seller to give that credit and save several $100s a month.
Oh, so those are buy downs, temporary buy downs, which is the 2-1 buy down Mike just mentioned. Those are really awesome things to do. They're awesome products. I'm a fan probably more of the temporary buy down in this market, but each individual loan and person has their preference. Don't get me wrong. If the seller's willing to credit these things, and if you can get in there, even though your rate is a little higher, what Mike's talking about with a 2-1 buy down is essentially the seller, let's say in a figurative scenario, to buy down the rate and do the temporary buy down, it might cost $8,000. Okay, so you can make your offer and you tell the seller, hey, I need an $8,000 credit or whatever, and I'll let you explain how that works. But with that, the first year where the 2-1 comes into play, the first year you can have your teaser interest rate 2% lower than the rate that's locked. So if you locked your rate at 6.5%, the first year the seller's credit pays for that rate to be at 4.5%. So your payment is based at 4.5%. Then the second year, where the 2-1 now, so the second year is at 1. So instead of 6.5%, it goes to 5.5%. But make no mistake, this is not an adjustable rate mortgage or anything. It's just the seller is basically prepaying the interest.
Right.
By crediting that. So with that, you're getting the lower payment. So now in the third year, all the way through the 30th year, you're at that 6.5% rate. But in theory, rates come down within the next 2-3 years that you'll be able to refinance, in theory.
So let me ask you this. So let's say my client is placing an offer on a house. The house is listed at $400,000.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of asking for $8,000 off on the price, making it $392,000, where that $8,000 savings is only getting them about $50 a month.
I'm so happy you brought this up. This happens a lot.
So versus...
I get this question every day. So, yeah.
What is that $8,000 buy down getting them?
So... I'm going to use 10,000 because it's a general number. It's easy number. Okay, so let's say a house is. Would you say what was the number?
400,000.
400,000. Okay, so at 400,000, the buyer's going to ask you, say, hey, should I offer 390 because I never want to pay what it's worth. I need a deal, right? Because that's common, right? I don't care who you are. Everybody wants a better price. But I might talk them out of that. I might say give them 400 what it's worth, but credit the $10,000 towards either a buy down, your closing cost, or whatnot.
Right.
And people say, Brandon, are you nuts? Why do you want to do that? Well, financially, it makes more sense. Okay, so $10,000, if you're borrowing money, it makes sense. $10,000 may only save $50 to $60 a month in your payment, which, it's $50, $60 a month. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to spend people's money. I mean, it's still money that you're saving. Right. But $10,000 utilizing a rate buy down might save you $100 a month for 30 years, or in a temporary buy down that we just discussed, the 2-1 buy down, it might save you $400 a month for the first year, or and $150 or $200 a month for the second year. So, in essence, the money that you've gotten as a credit, you can save it over time with your interest payments.
Right.
So people always think the basis, the cost of what they bought the property is always the best number, and that is if you're a cash buyer.
Right.
But if you're not a cash buyer, it's not, because you're paying interest over the years, and over time, that $10,000 that you saved in interest as opposed to what you financed is going to save you more money.
Right. And when you're paying that payment every month, you can think about, I could be paying a couple $100 more.
Right. Absolutely. So for the $50 to $60, let's round it up and say $55 a month, that saves you for $10,000 off the price. I'd rather see you take that and spend the $55, but you're saving it on interest.
Right.
If that makes sense. So. And
from a seller's standpoint, ultimately, as long as it's explained to them properly, it doesn't matter if they give you $10,000 off on the price or the $10,000 credit, because it's all going to come out to be the same in their pocket in the end.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, as long as the people explaining it are explaining it the right way and the seller understands it, I mean, it makes sense. I want to back up a little bit. I want to back up to the Vegas market and what buying season means. And what are people expected? Is this a good time to buy a house? Is it a bad time to buy a house? I get that question a lot, and I know we've covered some of it, but I think that Vegas in itself is its own animal. It's not a national average kind of city, right?
Right.
So, for anybody who might be watching or listening, is I ask the question too, because I'm not in real estate. When is it a good time? Is it spring? Is it December? Is it now? Is it when it's good for you?
Well,
is that I don't know.
My standard answer is, if you can afford the home and afford the payment, it's a good time to buy. With that said, Las Vegas is not like any other market, not like the snow belt where they get snow and the Four Seasons and all that stuff. Homes here sell all year long.
We get wind.
We do. The wind doesn't keep buyers away too much. The only exception to that typically is in June, the first 2 weeks where it's consistently over 100 degrees, we do see a little bit of a drop off. But usually by July 4th weekend, it's ramped back up.
Nobody wants to move in summer, right?
Right.
When people are just getting out of school, I want to take my family vacation. Yeah. I mean, I guess that's anywhere you live, really.
But after July 4th, everybody's acclimated to the weather, and they know they want to move a lot of times before school starts.
Yeah.
And the market really starts picking up then.
I get asked this question all the time. When is it a good time? Is it a good time right now? Rates are high. There's so much uncertainty in the world. And I get asked it, and I always just answer it the way I would think. I'm married. I have children, right? So, to me, I want stability. I want my children to not have to worry about what school district we're in. I want stability. So when it's right for me is that time, Right. And so when it's right for me is always the answer I give people the most. As far as financial, if you wait for a financial meltdown, if you wait for housing to crash, you'll be waiting forever. I mean, a lot of people waited in 2018, thought COVID was the end of the world.
Right.
I mean, listen, I'm the first to admit, I told my office to go work from home, save your money, who knows what's going to happen, and then the exact opposite happened, right? So you can't bank on that stuff, and what you can always bank on is what's in front of you. And this is my answer to that as a financial guy. And I just tell people, when it's right for you, it doesn't matter. If you're looking to flip the property, yeah, that matters. But if you're buying a home to live in it and be there 3 to 5 years, it's hard to predict longer than that in life, right? But if you're going to be there 3 to 5 years, you're not going to get hurt, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So that's my answer to that question. But I always value the real estate side. I don't know,
It all comes down to the buyer, the consumer, and what their intentions are. Like you said, if you're flipping a property, yeah, you're going to want to pay a little more attention to what you're buying the property for. Are you going to put money into it before you put it back on the market?
Sure.
And all of that good stuff. But if you're purchasing it for you and your family to live in, you have to have a home to live in, regardless. And yeah, you could be renting and paying somebody else's mortgage.
Sure.
But why would you want to do that?
As cheesy as it sounds, man.
That's what it is.
Rent is 100% interest, isn't it? I mean, it's cheesy, but it's true.
Right.
Going back to the buy downs and taking advantage of what's out there in the market, how would a consumer get that? So you say, oh, Brandon, that's great. Take the $10,000. Don't take it off the property. Get the credit. But how does that work? What happens?
So when we put our offer together, and it all depends on, you want to make sure you're working with a good, solid agent that's experienced and they know what they're doing. You want to place your offer, position it, and when I say working with a good agent's going to do their research and figure out exactly what are the motivations.
Good agent is necessity in today's market. But go ahead, I'm sorry.
A good agent's going to do a little bit of homework and find out what the motivation of the seller is and find out what their needs are. Are they moving because of a job relocation and they need to be out of town as quick as possible? Because you might be able to negotiate a little bit more on the price and that closing cost credit if you're able to close a little bit quicker. You never know,
right.
So, yeah, it all depends on what that seller situation is, and to make sure that the offer is put together to where you're going to get a positive response from the seller.
I feel like I'm interrogating you right now, Mike.
No,
but
it's good.
I have one more question. What defines a good agent? How would somebody in consumer land buying a home? I think a lot of people know real estate agents. A lot of people out there, we all know real estate agents. Not a lot of us know lenders, but you have a bank, right? So, but how do you interview a few agents and a few, you don't want to offend the family member, right? But at the same time, how do you know that person's a good agent?
What it comes down to is make sure you're not their very first client. I'm sorry, I know there's new people coming into this business every day, but you don't want to be their guinea pig. Plain and simple.
It's a pretty big investment to be a guinea pig.
Right. Yeah. Most important purchase of your life. Don't be the guinea pig. Work with somebody When I'm representing clients, I always tell them, I'm here as their consultant. I'm not trying to sell them on a home. They have to live in the home. They need to like the home. A lot of people think, oh, you're a realtor, you're just trying to sell me the first home I look at. Not the case at all for a good agent.
Well, some agents, the bad agents, gave a bad rap to the good agents. And same thing, same thing in my industry, too.
Yeah.
I mean, definitely goes in my industry, too, right?
So, yeah, it's all about helping you find the right property. I always tell every client, this is the most important purchase of your life. There is no such thing as a dumb question. Ask. If you're curious about something, ask. And we need to find out. And sometimes I, as the agent, I may not have the answer. It might be specific to a property. I have to get a response from the seller's agent. So sometimes it takes a little bit of time.
So does your agent send emails or do they call? I mean, these are simple things. In today's world, a phone call is a lost art.
Right.
And a lot of people don't want to do it. I mean, I get it. But at the same time, when you're buying a $400,000, $500,000, $800,000, $300,000 property, you're investing a lot of money, and you need somebody who's going to be sure to work for you. Right. So, making the phone calls, doing the research, doing the planning.
Absolutely.
That's in my head how I would define a good agent. Somebody who's truly working for me and not just sending emails.
Right. And that brings up a good point too. When I'm meeting with a client for the first time, I'm going to flat out ask you, how do you want to be contacted? Do you prefer text, a phone call, email? Right. And that's typically how we're going to talk.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's great. In my world, in the finance world, it's a little different. I hate to say this. Sometimes, nobody wants to talk to me. I hate to say it, and I don't want to talk to me either because I'm the reality. It's the cost, but there's a lot of questions. And I feel first-time buyers, I really do think, and this is just the advice I can give to anybody listening, is go actually see the loan officer. That's a lost thing. Nobody goes to the office anymore.
Right.
Go there. See where your money's going. I can't tell you how many times I have dealt with clients, Mike. Literally countless times where I ask them, have you ever bought a home before? And they say, yeah, but I'll tell you, I don't really know what happened. I just got my keys and I was told where to sign. And that just upsets me because you just spent a bunch of money.
Right.
And you should kind of know where your money went. So my recommendation in everything, finance is to truly understand it. Make sure they're taking the time, even if you prefer text and email, to once in a while just make the call or try and go there at least one time to understand the process and understand where your money's going. So, but,
Definitely.
out there, I get a lot of questions when they come in my office.
Right.
And I'm going to ask you one of them that I get. Is it a good idea to lease to own?
Question I get all the time.
And I'm a finance guy, and they expect me to just say, oh, you should always buy, because without that, I don't get a loan. But that's not always the answer, right? I don't know. So I'll let you answer that question.
So this is a question people ask all the time, especially potential first-time home buyers, is can I do a lease to own? And I would say 90% of the time that is not a good idea. And here's why. When you rent to own, typically you're going to be paying a premium on your rent. So let's say your rent's $2,000 a month for the home you're renting. And you want to purchase it, and the landlord agrees to do a rent-to-own program for you. So but they're going to charge you $2,200 a month. And that extra and you're going to say, why am I paying the $200 a month? Well, that $200 a month is going to go towards your down payment when and if you buy.
If is the key word there.
If. So
because
let's
when you
say,
have the option to buy, you don't always exercise the option.
Right. So let's say you have a 2-year lease on this property where you're paying this extra $200 a month.
Sure.
So that's an extra $4,800 you're paying over that 2-year lease. That's great. That's $4,800 towards your down payment. That's fantastic. What if something in your life changes and for whatever reason you don't want, something happens where you don't want to stay living in that house, you need a bigger house, you need a smaller house, you have to move out of the area, and you don't buy that house.
Got pregnant, whatever it is, anything. Got a job across the country.
So now that $4,800 just went into your landlord's pocket and it's gone.
Gone.
So I really suggest, if you need to rent a little bit longer to save for a down payment, do that. Be honest with yourself, make that plan, make a separate bank account to stash that $200 a month.
This is an honest real estate agent, ladies and gentlemen. He's telling you to rent longer when you can afford it by the home, not lease to own. Don't set yourself up to fail just in case.
It goes back to when I said, should you buy or should you not? If you're able to buy, buy. Yeah. And if you're not, hold off.
Make a plan.
Exactly. And
love it.
Yeah. I'm always willing to sit down, meet with people, and have that conversation. Good. Open and honest, because that's the way it needs to work. My business has been built on referrals, and that's the way it goes.
Right on.
And I have a question for you that I get from potential sellers.
Tit for tat, let's go. What do we got?
So should I refinance? So a lot of times people, they want to pull money out of their house. And they think one solution is to sell the house, but the other is to refinance. Is it good? Can they refinance at any time?
Well, no, you can't refinance at any time. That's the honest truth. And the whole marry the home, date the loan thing, stop saying it, stop listening to it. It's garbage if you ask me, and I shouldn't be that strong, but I'm going to be real. I wouldn't want that sold to me. So can you refinance at any time? No. You need to have loan to value. You need to have a certain amount of equity before you can pull money out. And if property values stay stagnant, great. If they go up, great. What if they don't? What if they temporarily are down? Or what if you lose your job? What if things happen? You know, these are factors that we go into when we do your loan. So you want to pull money out. Well, guess what? You need to leave 15, 20% equity in that property after you've pulled the money out. So if you only put 5% down on your loan, thinking you're going to get the house and then refinance later and pull some money out, chances are you didn't get enough equity to pull the money out yet.
Right.
So don't believe you can refinance at any time. Speak to somebody who can educate you on when and how to refinance. What are the guidelines to refinance, so that way you can plan your purchase or your life according. Because it is a misconception that, hey, banks are just you can refinance. No, you can't always refinance. And generally you can. We hope so. That's the whole point of it. But never make that promise to yourself, and don't let anybody else promise you that.
Yeah, and it needs to make financial sense.
Correct. That's another thing.
So
absolutely.
Yeah.
So good question. I get asked that too a lot. So that's a good question. And I mean, this was cool, man. This is our first run.
Right. And anybody, if you have a question that you want answered, whether it has to do with buying a home, selling a home, getting a mortgage, investing, put it in the comments, and we will try and answer it for you on our next podcast next week. So we appreciate you listening and watching. Like, share, subscribe. If you're listening to this through one of the podcasts, Spotify, or any place else, please like it, subscribe. And if you're on YouTube, give us a thumbs up.
Thumbs up, Mike. Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate your time. And I think the goal here is we'll just try to keep thinking different and help everybody, just answer questions and achieve goals. So please ask away, like Mike said. So.
All right.
Nice, Mike.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Have a great week, everyone.
That's how we roll. Welcome to the chat where the deals get done. Real estate tips and a whole lot of fun. Think different, achieve your goals, and go to real Estate Chat. That's how we roll.